The rain hammered against the cracked window of my studio apartment, each drop a reminder of the leak I couldn't afford to fix. I pressed my palms against my temples, staring at the eviction notice on the kitchen counter, bold red letters screaming, "Final warning." 3 months behind on rent. The number at the bottom might as well have been $1 million. I was invisible. That's what poverty does. It erases you from the world of people who matter. At 24, I should have been building a life, but instead, I was barely surviving, working double shifts at Romano's, an upscale Italian restaurant in Manhattan's financial district, where I served people who spent more on wine than I made in a month. The apartment smelled like mildew, and the cheap lavender candle I'd bought to mask it. My hands were raw from scrubbing dishes. My feet ached in shoes held together with duct tape, and my stomach had forgotten what it felt like to be full. But none of that mattered as much as the tiny heartbeat growing inside me, 12 weeks along, according to the free clinic. Marcus. Even thinking his name made my chest tighten with a mixture of rage and humiliation. 6 months of sweet words and promises, of believing someone actually saw me, wanted me. Then I'd found the wedding ring in his jacket pocket, the family photos on his phone he'd forgotten to delete. He'd disappeared the same night I told him about the baby, blocking my number, vanishing like I'd never existed. I was alone. Completely, terrifyingly alone. The next morning, I dragged myself to Romano's, my white serving blouse stretched tight across my abdomen. I'd have to tell Mr. Romano soon. Pregnant waitresses didn't exactly fit his aesthetic of sleek, elegant service. "Table 12, Sophia." Marco, the floor manager, snapped his fingers at me. "VIP reservation. Don't screw it up." The dining room gleamed with crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths so pristine they looked untouched. The air smelled of garlic, expensive wine, and old money. I smoothed my apron and approached table 12, tucked in the corner with a view of the street. The power position, where men who controlled things sat to watch both the room and the exits. That's when I saw him. He sat with his back to the wall, perfectly still in a way that made everyone else in the room seem frantic. Charcoal suit, custom fitted, the kind of fabric that whispered wealth with every movement. Dark hair, silver threading the temples. He couldn't have been older than 38, but he carried himself with the weight of someone who'd lived multiple lifetimes. 2 men flanked the entrance, not eating, not sitting, just watching with the coiled alertness of attack dogs. But it was his eyes that stopped me mid-step. Dark, almost black, and utterly calculating. They swept over me like a physical touch, cataloging, assessing, seeing everything I tried to hide. My worn shoes, my too tight blouse, the exhaustion carved into my face. The scent of his cologne reached me. Cedarwood and something darker, more dangerous. Leather. Gunpowder, maybe, though that seemed impossible in this pristine setting. "Good afternoon," I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. "Can I start you with something to drink? McAllen." "Neat." His voice was low, textured like Italian smoke. Accent threading through perfect English. He didn't look at the menu. Men like him never did. "You look tired." The observation landed like a slap. Not cruel, just factual. As if he could read the sleepless nights in the shadows under my eyes. "I'm fine, sir. And for your meal. Surprise me." He leaned back, fingers steepled. "You work here long?" 6 months. I gripped my notepad tighter. Customers rarely made conversation unless they wanted something. "And you're good at reading people, knowing what they need?" "I try to be, sir." "Dante." The correction was soft but firm. "And I think you're better at it than you know." Before I could respond, the restaurant's front door burst open. A child, no more than 7 years old, soaking wet from the rain, stumbled inside. His clothes were threadbare, his sneakers held together with tape that matched mine. Mud streaked his face, and his eyes were wide with desperation that I recognized in my own mirror every morning. "Hey!" Marco rushed forward. "Kid, you can't be in here." "Please," the boy's voice cracked. "I need help. My mama. She's sick and I have money I can pay." He thrust out his small fist, opening it to reveal a crumpled $5 bill and some coins. Maybe $6 total. The restaurant fell silent. Wealthy patrons stared with that particular blend of pity and discomfort, that rich people wore when poverty invaded their sanitized spaces. Marco grabbed the boy's shoulder. You need to leave. Now. This isn't a charity. Let him speak. Dante's voice cut through the room like a blade. He hadn't moved, hadn't even raised his volume, but every head turned. Marco released the boy as if burned. The child's eyes locked onto Dante with the instinct prey has for recognizing apex predators, but also with desperate hope. He crossed the dining room on shaking legs, stopping at table 12. Sir, please. He held out the money again. My mama, she's real sick. She can't work, and we got evicted. And we're staying in our car now. But it's cold, and she's coughing up blood, and I don't know what to do. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with rainwater. I saved this money from returning bottles. It's all I got. But please, can you help her? The silence stretched. I stood frozen, my heart shattering for this child who somehow thought $6 could buy salvation from a stranger in an expensive suit. Dante studied the boy with those obsidian eyes, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, he reached out and closed the child's fist around the money. Keep it, he said quietly. What's your mother's name? Maria Castellano. Something flickered across Dante's face. Recognition, maybe, or old pain. And your name? Luca. Dante pulled out his phone, pressed a single button. It's me. I need a medical team at... He looked at the boy. Where is your car? The parking lot. Behind the old factory on Delancey Street. Dante repeated the address. Pneumonia, possibly tuberculosis. I want her at St. Vincent's within the hour. Private room, full treatment. Send someone to set up the family in one of the Moretti Street apartments. Furnish it, and get the boy enrolled at Sacred Heart. He paused. No, I don't care about the waiting list. Make it happen. He ended the call and looked at Luca. A car will be there in 15 minutes. They'll take your mother to the hospital and you both to a new home. You'll go to school. Your mother will get better. Understood. The boy's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Then he launched himself at Dante, wrapping thin arms around his neck. Thank you. Dante stiffened, clearly unused to physical affection, but his hand came up to pat the boy's back awkwardly. Go wait by the door. My men will drive you. As Luca rushed away, one of the suited guards following, the restaurant slowly came back to life. Whispered conversations, silverware clinking. But I stood rooted to the spot, staring at this man who'd just changed 2 lives with a phone call. He looked up at me, catching me watching. Your surprise meal choice, sir? My voice came out strangled. I've changed my mind. He stood in one fluid motion, pulling out a money clip thick with $100 bills. He placed 5 of them on the table. $500 for a drink he'd never touched. You're interesting, Sophia. I jolted. I never told you my name. Your name tag. He gestured to my chest, but his eyes never dropped below my face. Though I already knew. I know everyone who works in my city. Your city? Walk with me. It wasn't a request. He moved toward the door, and some primal instinct made me follow, ignoring Marco's frantic signals. The guards fell into formation around us as we stepped into the rain-slicked street. A black SUV, heavily armored, windows tinted beyond legal limits, waited at the curb, engine running. The door opened, and I glimpsed leather interior, the gleam of what might have been a gun in a side compartment. Who are you? The question escaped before I could stop it. He smiled then, and it was the most terrifying expression I'd ever seen. Beautiful and cold as a knife's edge. Dante Rossetti. And I think you and I are going to know each other very well, Sophia. He stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body despite the cold rain. That boy reminded me of something important. Sometimes the people who need saving don't even know they're drowning. His eyes dropped then, briefly, deliberately, to my stomach, to the slight swell I thought I'd hidden. My blood turned to ice. You're scared, he observed. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. But I'm not what you should be afraid of. He reached out, and I flinched. But he only tucked a strand of wet hair behind my ear. The gesture was almost tender, which made it more menacing. The father, Marcus Chen, married, embezzled $73,000 from his company to fund his affair with you, though I suspect you didn't know that part. He's currently hiding in Atlantic City, hoping his creditors forget his debts. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't process how he knew these things. How I know everything that happens in my city. He leaned in, his lips near my ear, voice dropping to a whisper that sent ice down my spine. And I know you're 3 months pregnant, 3 months behind on rent, and approximately 48 hours from complete destitution. I also know that Marcus stole from the wrong people. People who don't forgive debts, people who will eventually trace his money back to you. Terror clawed up my throat. I didn't know. I didn't take anything. I believe you. He straightened, adjusting his cufflinks with casual precision. Which is why I'm going to make you an offer, Sophia. One time only. The rain poured harder, soaking through my thin blouse. But I couldn't move. Come work for me. Not as a waitress. I need someone invisible, someone people underestimate, someone desperate enough to do what needs to be done and smart enough to survive it. His eyes held mine with magnetic intensity. In return, I'll clear Marcus's debts. The money he stole will be repaid. The people looking for it will forget you exist. You'll have housing, medical care, everything you need for you and your child. Full protection under my name. What kind of work? My voice trembled. His smile widened slightly. The kind you don't ask questions about. The kind that keeps you alive. One of his men opened the SUV door wider. An invitation. A trap. 48 hours, Sophia. That's how long you have before Marcus's mistakes become your death sentence. Think about it. Though I suspect we both know you don't really have a choice. He slid into the vehicle, and it pulled away smoothly, leaving me standing in the rain, shaking, drowning in the realization that my life had just been bought and sold without my consent. I looked down at my stomach, at the tiny life depending on me to make impossible choices. The eviction notice was waiting at home. Marcus's debts were circling like sharks. And Dante Rossetti, whoever he really was, had just offered me a lifeline that felt more like a noose. But what terrified me most wasn't his offer. It was how badly I wanted to say yes. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every sound, the drip of the leaky faucet, footsteps in the hallway, car engines on the street below, sent adrenaline spiking through my veins. I kept thinking about what Dante had said. Marcus stole from the wrong people, people who will eventually trace his money back to you. At 3 a.m, I finally gave up on sleep and opened my laptop, the one luxury I'd refused to pawn because it was my only connection to job listings, to hope. I typed Dante Rossetti into the search bar with trembling fingers. The results made my blood run cold. News articles, carefully worded. Prominent businessman Dante Rossetti acquitted of racketeering charges. Federal investigation into Rossetti family enterprises ends without indictment. 3 witnesses in Rossetti case disappear before trial. I clicked on images. There he was at charity galas, shaking hands with politicians, at restaurant openings, cutting ribbons, always surrounded by men in dark suits, always watching the camera with those calculating eyes. The comments sections told the real story. Everyone knows he runs the East Coast. My cousin worked for him, crossed him once. We never found the body. The Rossetti family owns half the judges in New York. Mafia. The word sat heavy in my mind, though none of the articles dared print it outright. I slammed the laptop shut, my hands shaking so badly I knocked over my water glass. It shattered on the floor, and I just stared at the broken pieces, thinking how perfectly they represented my life. A man who controlled organized crime had just offered me a job, and I was actually considering it. Morning came with pale gray light and a fresh hell. I found the notice taped to my door. Not from my landlord this time, but something worse. Official legal letterhead. Marcus Chen's creditors had filed a claim against me as his known associate. They were coming after the money. $73,000 I'd never seen, never touched, never even known existed. I had nothing. Less than nothing. I had debt that could swallow me whole, and a baby who deserved better than a mother destroyed by someone else's crimes. 48 hours. 24 of them were already gone. I went to work because I didn't know what else to do. My body moved on autopilot, serving tables, forcing smiles, pretending my world wasn't crumbling. Every man in a dark suit made my heart race. Every time the door opened, I expected someone to walk in and drag me away. Sophia. Marco's voice cut through my spiral. VIP table, 12, again. My stomach dropped. He was there. Same table, same position, same 2 guards by the entrance. But this time, he wasn't alone. A woman sat across from him, stunning, dripping in designer everything, her manicured hand resting possessively on his arm. She laughed at something he said, her voice carrying across the room like crystal bells. I approached on wooden legs, my notepad clutched like a shield. "Good afternoon. What can I—" "Sophia." Dante's voice stopped me. He looked up, and for a moment, something flickered in those dark eyes. "This is Alessandra Moretti, my fiancé." The word hit like a physical blow, though I had no right to feel it. This man was a stranger, a criminal, someone who'd inserted himself into my life uninvited, so why did my chest tighten with something that felt dangerously like betrayal? "Charmed," Alessandra said, not looking at me. She had the air of someone who didn't see service staff as fully human. "Dante, darling, you promised we'd discuss the wedding venue." "After lunch." His eyes never left my face. "Sophia, we'll have the usual." I didn't know what his usual was. We'd never gotten that far yesterday. He smiled slightly, reading my confusion. "Surprise us again. You have good instincts." I fled to the kitchen, my hands shaking as I put in an order for our most expensive dishes. Through the service window I could see them, Alessandra talking animatedly, Dante nodding, his posture relaxed in a way that somehow seemed more dangerous than tension. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, said something to Alessandra, and stood. As he passed the kitchen entrance, he paused. Courtyard, 5 minutes, alone. Then he was gone, leaving me frozen with a tray of bread in my hands. The courtyard was meant for private dining, a small brick space with potted plants and a fountain that hadn't worked in years. Rain had left puddles on the cobblestones. I stepped out, my heart hammering, and found him standing with his back to me, phone pressed to his ear. I don't care about his excuses. He had 3 months. Find him. And when you do, make it clear what happens to people who think they can run from me. He ended the call and turned. "Marcus sends his regards, or he would, if he knew I'd found him." The world tilted. "You found him?" "Yesterday, about 20 minutes after I left you in the rain." Dante slipped his phone into his pocket. "He's in Atlantic City, like I said. Room 412 at the Seahorse Motel, spending his last few dollars on cheap whiskey and cheaper women. Very predictable. Disappointing, really. I expected someone who stole from the Covenant to have more imagination." "The Covenant?" "The people Marcus stole from. Russian syndicate, very unforgiving. They've had men looking for him for 3 months." He moved closer, each step deliberate. "They found your apartment yesterday. Left it alone when they saw the eviction notice, figured you were too poor to have their money. But that legal claim? That put you back on their radar." Ice flooded my veins. "What do they want? Their money. Or blood. They're not particular." He was close now, close enough that I could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. "You have about 12 hours before they decide you're easier to find than Marcus." 12? You said 48? I lied. No apology in his voice, just fact. "Fear makes people compliant, but you're tougher than I expected, Sophia. You didn't come begging. You didn't call. So now I'm telling you the truth. You have until midnight tonight before the Covenant comes for you." My knees weakened. I grabbed the fountain's edge for support. "Why? Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?" "I told you. I need someone invisible. Someone the world overlooks." His hand came up, fingers brushing my cheek so gently it felt like a threat. "And you're perfect. Beautiful. But in that forgettable way people don't look at twice. Smart enough to survive 6 months of poverty without breaking. Desperate enough to do what needs to be done. I'm pregnant." The words burst out. "You can't expect. I expect loyalty, obedience, silence." His thumb traced my jawline. "In return, you get life, safety, A future for your child that doesn't involve running from Russian gangsters or raising a baby in a homeless shelter. His voice softened, became almost hypnotic. I take care of what's mine, Sophia. You should see how Luca and his mother are doing. New apartment. Maria's already responding to treatment. The boy starts school Monday. All because he had the courage to ask for help. That was different. He's a child. And you're a woman alone, carrying a child, drowning in debts you didn't create. How is it different? He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. Pride is expensive, Kara. Can you afford it? I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the terror and the strange, shameful pull I felt toward this man who spoke about murder as casually as others discussed the weather. What would I have to do? Tonight? Come with me. Let me move you somewhere safe. Tomorrow? He pulled back, studying my face. We'll discuss details. But first you survive. You choose life. And if I say no? His expression didn't change, but something cold moved through his eyes. Then I'll have flowers sent to your funeral. White roses. You seem like a white roses type. A door slammed inside the restaurant. Voices raised. Dante's guards appeared instantly, flanking the courtyard entrance. Sir, we have a problem. Dante's jaw tightened. What kind? Covenant. 3 men. They're inside asking about the girl. My heart stopped. Dante's hand closed around my wrist, his grip firm but not painful. Looks like you're out of time, Bella. Choose now. Come with me and live or stay and die. Those are your only options. Through the window, I could see them. 3 men in leather jackets, talking to Marco. One of them held up a phone, showing him something. A picture. Marco's eyes widened, and his gaze darted toward the kitchen, toward the courtyard, toward me. Sophia. Dante's voice cut through my panic. Now. The men started moving, pushing past Marco. One reached under his jacket. I ran. Dante pulled me through a back door I'd never noticed, his guards forming a wall behind us. We burst into an alley where the black SUV waited, engine running. He shoved me into the back seat and slid in beside me as the vehicle lurched into motion. Behind us, I heard shouting. A gunshot cracked the air. Drive, Dante said calmly into his phone. Take the tunnel, and someone clean up Romano's. I don't want this traced back to our operations. I was shaking so violently my teeth chattered. They were going to kill me, right there, in the restaurant, yes. He pulled off his suit jacket and draped it around my shoulders. It smelled like him. Cedarwood and danger. But they didn't. Because you're mine now. I didn't agree. You ran. That was agreement enough. His hand cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. Listen carefully, Sophia. The old world. The one where you scraped by, where you had choices, where you were free. That world ended the moment Marcus used you as cover for his crimes. This is your world now. My world. And in my world, you live by my rules. Under my protection. Understood? Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I don't even know what you want me to do. For now, survive, heal, prepare. His thumb brushed away a tear that escaped despite my efforts. You're in shock. That's normal. But you'll adapt. People always do. The SUV turned sharply, heading into an underground garage. Security gates closed behind us with mechanical precision. We descended into darkness, level after level, until we stopped in a private bay surrounded by other luxury vehicles. All black, all armored. Dante helped me out, his hand on my lower back guiding me to an elevator. His guards followed, silent sentries. The elevator required a keycard and fingerprint scan. Where are we? One of my properties. You'll stay here until I can arrange something more permanent. The elevator rose smoothly, opening into a penthouse that stole what was left of my breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan. Modern furniture in blacks and grays. Art on the walls that probably cost more than my entire life. Everything pristine, expensive, cold. The bedroom is through there, Dante gestured. Bathroom has everything you need. My housekeeper will bring clothes your size within the hour. Don't leave the apartment. Don't call anyone. Don't go near the windows. Am I a prisoner? He considered the question seriously. You're protected. Whether that feels like imprisonment is up to you. He moved to a bar cart, poured amber liquid into 2 glasses. He handed me one. Drink. It'll help with the shaking. I took it because my hands needed something to hold. The whiskey burned going down, but he was right. The warmth steadied me slightly. My things. At my apartment. Already being collected. You'll have them by morning. He sipped his own drink, watching me over the rim. Along with your medical records from the free clinic. You're 12 weeks along. First prenatal appointment is Wednesday with Dr. Sarah Chen at Mount Sinai. Private practice, very discreet. She handles all my family's medical needs. The casual invasion of my privacy should have terrified me. Instead, I felt numb. Your fiancée, Alessandra. Does she know about this? About me? Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Alessandra knows what I tell her to know. My marriage is business, a merger of families, nothing more. It has nothing to do with you. Then what am I? He set down his glass and crossed the space between us in 2 strides. His hands framed my face, tilting it up, and for a heart-stopping moment, I thought he might kiss me. You're mine, he said simply. My responsibility, my asset, my project. His eyes searched mine, looking for something I didn't understand. And maybe, if you're smart and lucky, my salvation. That boy today, Luca, he reminded me why I built this empire. Not for power, not for money, for protection, for family, for people who have no one else. I'm not your family. Not yet. His smile was soft, almost sad. But you will be, Sophia, because I'm going to give you something no one else ever has. A choice that's real. A future that's yours. You just have to trust me enough to survive until we get there. He released me and stepped back, the moment breaking. Get some rest. Eat. My chef will send dinner up at 7. Tomorrow we begin your real education. Education in what? How to be invisible in plain sight. How to move through my world without being seen. How to survive the game I'm bringing you into. He moved toward the elevator. And how to make the people who hurt you pay for what they've done. The elevator doors opened. He paused, looking back. Welcome to the Rossetti family, Cara. Try not to disappoint me. Then he was gone. And I was alone in a golden cage. Pregnant and terrified. And somehow, impossibly, more alive than I'd felt in months. The apartment felt like a museum after Dante left. Beautiful. Untouchable. Sterile. I wandered through rooms that smelled of leather and expensive wood polish. My footsteps muffled by plush carpets. Everything was precisely arranged, from the books on the shelves, first editions I realized with shock, to the fresh orchids on the dining table. I found the bedroom and stopped in the doorway. King-sized bed with charcoal silk sheets. Abstract art that probably cost more than a car, and through a door to the left, a bathroom bigger than my entire studio apartment had been. My studio. Past tense now. That life was gone. I sat on the edge of the bed, Dante's jacket still wrapped around my shoulders, and finally let myself cry. Not delicate tears, but ugly, wrenching sobs that tore through my chest for the life I'd lost, for the innocence I'd never get back. For my baby, who would be born into a world of men with guns and secrets. The crying jag left me hollowed out and exhausted. I lay back on the bed, just for a moment, and darkness swallowed me whole. I woke to the smell of garlic and tomatoes. My stomach growled viciously. I couldn't remember the last time I'd eaten. The bedside clock read 7:47 p.m. I'd slept for over 4 hours. In the bathroom, I found toiletries still in packaging. Expensive brands I'd only seen in magazine ads. Toothbrush, toothpaste, shower gel that smelled like jasmine. I brushed my teeth and splashed water on my face, avoiding my reflection. I didn't want to see what fear had written there. The dining room table had been set for 1. Silver covers kept the food warm. I lifted them to find chicken marsala, roasted vegetables, fresh bread, and a small bowl of pasta and cream sauce. My hands shook as I served myself, and then I ate like a starving animal, barely tasting the food in my desperation to fill the empty ache inside me. A note sat beside the wine glass, filled with sparkling water, I noticed. Someone had thought about the pregnancy. Eat, sleep. Tomorrow we talk. His handwriting was precise, controlled, like everything else about him. I was reaching for seconds when my phone buzzed. My phone. which I'd left at the restaurant in my apron pocket. Now it sat charging on the counter, along with my keys, my wallet, and the few photographs I'd kept in my apartment. Everything I owned, transported here while I slept. The text was from an unknown number. Check the closet in the bedroom. Everything should fit. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Driver will collect you. Wear the blue dress. I walked to the bedroom closet with my heart in my throat and opened it. Rows of clothing. Designer labels I recognized from serving their wearers at Romano's. Dresses, pants, blouses, all in my size. Shoes lined up beneath. Heels, flats, boots. Drawers held undergarments still tagged. Everything perfectly organized by color and occasion. I pulled out the blue dress, navy silk, modest neckline, elegant without being flashy. The kind of dress that cost a month's rent. My old rent, anyway. It would make me look professional, forgettable. Invisible, just like he wanted. I hung it back carefully and closed the closet door, feeling the walls of my golden cage close in a little tighter. Sleep came fitfully that night. I dreamed of Marcus. His smile when we'd first met, the way he'd made me feel seen. Then the dream shifted, and it was Dante's face instead. Those dark eyes watching me drown while he decided whether I was worth saving. I woke gasping at 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep, so I explored the apartment properly, learning the space like a prisoner learning their cell. The living room had a wall of books, business, philosophy, Italian poetry, a collection of vinyl records, mostly opera and classical. No personal photos anywhere, no warmth, no mess, no indication that an actual human lived here. The kitchen was professionally equipped but barely used. I opened the refrigerator and found it fully stocked. Fresh fruit, vegetables, cheeses, everything organized with military precision. A pregnancy nutrition guide sat on the counter, pages marked with sticky notes. Section on first trimester needs highlighted. He'd done his research, planned this. Known I would say yes, or known I'd have no choice. I found a locked door off the hallway. Office, probably. The lock was serious. Biometric scanner. Whatever secrets Dante kept, he kept them well protected. As dawn broke over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, I stood at the windows and watched the city wake up. From this height, the people below looked like ants, insignificant, invisible, like I used to be. At exactly 9 a.m., a knock on the door made me jump. I'd dressed in the blue dress. It fit perfectly, skimming my body in ways that hid my pregnancy while making me look polished. Professional. The shoes were comfortable despite their 3-inch heels. I opened the door to find a woman in her 50s. Gray hair pulled back severely, expensive suit, and eyes that missed nothing. Miss Sophia. I'm Teresa, Mr. Rossetti's executive assistant. Are you ready? Ready for what? Your orientation. She gestured to the elevator. We have a full schedule today. The elevator descended to the garage where a different SUV waited. This one navy blue, but just as armored. Teresa slid in beside me, opening a tablet. First, legal matters. You'll sign an NDA, employment contract, and protection agreement. Our lawyers will explain everything. Second, security briefing. You need to understand threat assessment and emergency protocols. Third, medical appointment with Dr. Chen. Fourth, meeting with Mr. Rossetti to discuss your specific role. She looked up. Questions? My head spun. What kind of employment contract? You'll be listed as a consultant for Rossetti Enterprises. Salary of $200,000 annually. Full benefits, housing provided. In exchange, you'll perform tasks as assigned by Mr. Rossetti. The NDA covers everything you see, hear, or learn about his operations. Violation results in immediate termination and legal action. $200,000. I made $23,000 at Romano's. And if I refuse to sign, Teresa's expression didn't change. Then you'll be released at the next corner with our best wishes for your future. I believe the Covenant has a bounty of $50,000 on your head now. They don't like it when their targets run. The message was clear. Sign or die. The law office was in Midtown. All glass and steel and leather chairs. 3 lawyers in identical suits explained contracts I barely understood, using words like indemnification and exclusivity clause. I signed everything they put in front of me because what choice did I have? My hand cramped by the final signature. The lead lawyer smiled. Professional, empty. Welcome to the organization, Miss Sophia. Mr. Rossetti will be pleased you've chosen to join us. Chosen. As if I'd had any choice at all. The security briefing happened in a nondescript building in Queens. The instructor was a former military type with scars and dead eyes. He showed me photos of men I should avoid. Taught me how to spot a tail. Explained what to do if someone grabbed me. Scream. Run. Never get in the second location. You're a civilian, he said flatly. That makes you a liability, but Mr. Rossetti wants you protected, so you'll learn the basics. Pay attention. Your life depends on it. He made me practice emergency calls, memorize safe house addresses, learn code phrases. By the end of 2 hours, my head throbbed with information. One more thing. He pulled out a small device, looked like a pendant. Panic button. Press it 3 seconds and a team will be at your location within 5 minutes anywhere in the city. Wear it always. Shower, sleep, everything. Mr. Rossetti's orders. He fastened it around my neck. The weight felt like a collar. Doctor. Chen's office was everything the free clinic wasn't. Quiet, clean, private. She was kind, in her 40s, with gentle hands and a professional smile. Mr. Rossetti explained your situation, she said, washing her hands. I want you to know that everything we discuss is confidential. My first priority is your health and your baby's health. Nothing else matters. She did a full exam, asked questions about my medical history, my symptoms. The ultrasound machine hummed to life, and gel spread cold across my stomach. Let's see your little one. The screen flickered, and then, there, a tiny form, barely recognizable as human but moving, heart beating fast, visible as a rapid flutter. Strong heartbeat, Dr. Chen said warmly, measuring right on track for 13 weeks. Everything looks perfect. Tears blurred my vision. Perfect. In the middle of this nightmare, something was actually perfect. Do you want to know the sex? It's early, but sometimes we can tell. No, I wiped my eyes. Not yet. I'm not ready. She handed me tissues and printed out ultrasound photos. That's fine. We'll check again at your 20-week scan. For now, keep taking your prenatal vitamins. Eat well. I see Mr. Rossetti has already provided nutritional guidelines. Get rest. Avoid stress as much as possible. Avoid stress. I almost laughed. My entire life was stress now. Teresa drove me to the final appointment. A restaurant in Little Italy, closed for a private lunch. She led me through the empty dining room to a back office where Dante sat behind a mahogany desk, reading something on his laptop. He looked up as I entered, and his expression softened almost imperceptibly. Sophia. Sit. How was Dr. Chen? The baby's healthy. I lowered myself into the chair across from him, suddenly exhausted. Good. He closed the laptop. And the rest? Legal security? Overwhelming. You'll adjust. He leaned back, studying me. You look better. The dress suits you. I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? Thank you for buying my silence with designer clothes? He seemed to read my thoughts. You're angry. Also good. Anger means you're still fighting. I can work with that. He pulled out a folder. Let's discuss your role. You said you needed someone invisible. I do. Specifically, I need someone who can move through social spaces, charity events, gallery openings, political fundraisers, and observe, listen. Report back things people say when they don't think anyone important is watching. You want me to spy. I want you to be eyes and ears in places my usual people can't go. You're educated, well-spoken when you want to be, and you have that quality of ordinariness that makes people ignore you. They'll talk freely around you, share secrets, make deals they think no one notices. He slid a photograph across the desk. A man in his 60s, silver hair, expensive suit. This is Senator Richard Morrison. He's been taking bribes from the Covenant to vote against port security legislation. I need proof. You're going to attend his fundraiser next week as a volunteer server and document everything he says in private. My stomach churned. And if I'm caught? You won't be. Because I'll train you properly. He stood, moving around the desk. The work isn't dangerous if you're careful. You blend in, You listen, you leave. No confrontation, no risk. Until something goes wrong. I don't let things go wrong. He crouched beside my chair, bringing us eye level. I'm very good at protecting what's mine, Sophia. And you. His hand rested on my stomach, warm through the silk dress, and this baby are mine now. I don't let anyone hurt what belongs to me. The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified me. Instead, some broken part of me felt almost safe. Why? The question came out as a whisper. Why me? You could hire professionals. People trained for this. His hand moved from my stomach to cup my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. Because professionals have loyalties that can be bought. You? You have nothing. No family, no friends, no safety net. You're entirely dependent on me. That makes you trustworthy in ways money can't buy. That's sick. That's survival. He stood, pulling me up with him. The world is sick, Kara. I didn't make it that way. I just learned how to thrive in it, and now I'm teaching you the same. He walked me to the door, his hand on my lower back again. That possessive touch that branded me as his. In the restaurant's main room, tables were being set for dinner service. Normal life, continuing while mine spun into chaos. Teresa will take you back to the apartment. Rest. Tomorrow we start your training. He paused. And Sophia? I had Marcus delivered to the Covenant this morning. Your debt is cleared. You're free of him. The words landed like stones in still water, rippling outward with implications I didn't want to examine. You killed him? I gave him to people he wronged. What they do with him is their business. No remorse in his voice, no guilt. Just fact. He used you, lied to you, left you to face consequences of his crimes. Did you really expect me to let that stand? I should have felt horror, disgust. Instead, I felt a dark satisfaction that scared me more than anything else that had happened. Dante saw it in my face and smiled. There it is, the truth underneath all that fear and morality. You're angrier than you let yourself admit. Good. We'll use that. He kissed my forehead, brief, almost paternal, and guided me to where Teresa waited. As the SUV pulled away, I looked back to see him standing in the restaurant doorway, backlit and powerful, watching me leave with those obsidian eyes. I touched my stomach, feeling the slight swell where new life grew. I'm sorry, I whispered to my baby. I'm so sorry for the world I'm bringing you into. But I wasn't sorry enough to leave. Wasn't brave enough to run. Because Dante was right. I had nothing, and no one. And he'd just become my entire world. The next 2 weeks blurred together in a strange routine that felt simultaneously surreal and inevitable. Every morning, Teresa collected me at 9. Every day brought new training, new skills, new layers of deception I was learning to wear like a second skin. Dante's people taught me how to blend into high society. A woman named Isabel, elegant, French, terrifyingly perceptive, coached me on posture, diction, and the subtle art of becoming furniture in a room full of important people. You are wallpaper, chérie, she said, circling me like a predator. Beautiful enough to belong, boring enough to forget. You smile, you serve, you never offer opinions, and you listen. Always listen. I learned which fork to use at formal dinners, how to walk in heels without wobbling, the difference between a Bordeaux and a Burgundy. Social codes I'd never needed as a waitress but were essential for moving through Dante's world. He watched sometimes, appearing silently in doorways during my lessons. His presence made my skin prickle with awareness. He never interrupted, never commented, just observed with those calculating eyes, assessing whether his investment was paying off. At night, alone in the pristine apartment, I tried to hold on to who I'd been. But that girl, the one who believed in honest work and simple dreams, felt farther away each day. The fundraiser for Senator Morrison was held at the Plaza Hotel, all marble columns and crystal chandeliers. I arrived in a black dress and white apron, part of the catering staff Dante had arranged to infiltrate. A tiny recording device sat hidden in my pendant, the same pendant that could summon his security team. Everything about me was dual purpose now: protection and surveillance, safety and espionage. Table assignments are posted in the kitchen, the catering manager barked. Your section C, tables 12 through 18. Smile, be invisible, don't speak unless spoken to. Easy. I'd been invisible my whole life, the ballroom filled with Manhattan's elite, politicians, businessmen, society wives dripping in diamonds. Senator Morrison held court at the center table, his laugh booming across the room. I circled with champagne, refilling glasses, ears open. The port security vote is next week, someone said. Morrison's a sure thing. The Russians made sure of that. My hand didn't shake as I poured. I smiled blandly and moved on. At table 14, Morrison's chief of staff spoke quietly into his phone. 50,000 in the offshore account by Friday, or he walks. I don't care about your timeline. That's the price. I memorized every word. The evening dragged on. My feet ached in the heels. My back hurt from carrying heavy trays. But I felt alive in a way I hadn't since before Marcus. Sharp, focused, useful. Near midnight, as guests began leaving, Morrison slipped away to a private room. I followed at a distance, heart pounding. The hallway was empty. I pressed my ear to the door. Confirmation that the legislation will fail. Morrison's voice, slurred with alcohol. You've paid enough. I keep my promises. A response in Russian-accented English. You'd better, Senator. Our patience has limits. I fled before they could emerge, back to the safety of the catering chaos. In the service elevator, I pressed the panic button. Not because I was in danger, but because that was the signal. Mission complete. Teresa met me at the service entrance. Any trouble? None. I got everything. She nodded approvingly. Mr. Rossetti will be pleased. He was waiting in the penthouse when I returned, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, working at the dining table with his laptop and several phones. He looked up as I entered, and something in his expression softened. Successful? I removed the pendant and handed it to him. Senator Morrison takes bribes from the Covenant. 50,000 to vote against port security. His chief of staff handles the money. I have names, dates, account details. Everything. Dante plugged the device into his laptop, listening to the recording with headphones. His face revealed nothing, but his fingers drummed once against the table. Satisfaction. Perfect. He removed the headphones. You did well, Sophia. The praise shouldn't have mattered, but warmth bloomed in my chest anyway. Pathetic and dangerous. What happens now? Now? Morrison's career ends. The Covenant loses their political protection. And the port security bill passes, which benefits several of my shipping operations. He stood, moving to the bar. Whiskey? I can't. The baby. Sparkling water, then? He poured both, handing me mine. To your first successful operation. We didn't toast. Just drank in silence while Manhattan glittered below us. You enjoyed it, he observed. Tonight, the work. I wanted to deny it. Couldn't. Yes, good. Most people hate lying. You're a natural. He moved closer, and I caught that scent, cedarwood and danger. You wear deception well, Kara. Like it was made for you. Is that supposed to be a compliment? It's an observation. His hand caught my chin, tilting my face up to his. You've been here 2 weeks. You've adapted faster than anyone I've recruited. Why? Because I don't have a choice. No. His thumb brushed my lower lip. You had choices. You could have run, gone to the police, found a shelter. You stayed because some part of you wanted this. Wanted to stop being invisible. Wanted power, even borrowed power. His words cut too close to truths I didn't want to examine. You're wrong. Am I? He released me, stepping back. Then prove it. Tomorrow, you're free to leave. I'll clear your debts, give you $100,000, and you'll never hear from me again. Walk away, Sophia. Go back to being nobody. My throat tightened. You're lying. You'd never let me go. I know too much. The NDA covers that. Break it and lawyers destroy you. But otherwise? He shrugged. I don't keep people who don't want to stay, so choose. Freedom or this. He gestured to the penthouse, to the life he'd built around me. I should have said yes. Should have taken the money and run. Instead, I met his eyes and said, "I stay." Something blazed in his expression. Triumph, possession, something darker I couldn't name. Why? Because I had nowhere else to go, because I was pregnant and terrified, because he'd shown me a version of myself that was strong instead of broken, because when he looked at me, I wasn't invisible. Because you're right, I whispered. I want this. God help me. I want to stop being nothing. He closed the distance between us in one stride, his hands framing my face, and kissed me. It wasn't gentle, wasn't tender. It was possession and claim and victory all at once. His mouth took mine with the same certainty he did everything else. Absolutely, completely, leaving no room for doubt. I should have pushed him away. He was engaged. He was dangerous. He'd manipulated every moment of the last 2 weeks to get me here, dependent and willing. But I kissed him back anyway, my hands fisting in his shirt, drowning in the taste of whiskey and power. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "This complicates things," he said roughly. "You're engaged. A business arrangement. Nothing more." "Does Alessandra know that?" His jaw tightened. "She knows what she needs to know. This," he gestured between us, "has nothing to do with her." "Then what is this?" He was quiet for a long moment, his forehead resting against mine. "Honestly, I don't know. I didn't plan this. You were supposed to be an asset, a useful tool, but you're—" He broke off, frustration threading through his voice. "You've gotten under my skin, Kara, and I don't like it. Then let me go." "I can't." His hands tightened on my face. "I won't. You're mine, Sophia. I claimed you that first day, and I don't give up what's mine." The possessiveness should have terrified me. Instead, it lit something wild and reckless in my chest. "I'm not a possession, aren't you?" His smile was dark. "You wear my clothes, live in my home, work for my organization, carry my protection like armor. What are you, if not mine? The mother of another man's child." The words landed like a slap. Dante's expression went cold, and he stepped back. "That child will be mine too. I'll raise it as Rossetti. Give it every advantage, every protection. The biological father is irrelevant. He's dead because he failed to protect you. I won't make that mistake." My hand went to my stomach instinctively. "You can't just claim someone else's baby. Watch me." He straightened his shirt, composure sliding back into place. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we have another assignment, a gallery opening, more surveillance work." He was dismissing me, retreating behind the walls he'd built. But I'd seen the crack in his armor, the admission that I'd gotten to him. "Dante." "Good night, Sophia." I fled to the bedroom, my lips still tingling from his kiss, my mind spinning with confusion and fear and something that felt dangerously like want. 3 weeks later, I stood in a different penthouse, this one Dante's actual residence, not the safe house I'd been staying in. Alessandra's things were everywhere. Photos of her and Dante at charity events, her perfume in the bathroom, evidence of the life he led when I wasn't around. He'd brought me here for a meeting with his accountant, someone who needed to see me to set up my salary payments. But seeing this, his real life, made everything sharp and painful. "The wedding is in 6 weeks, Alessandra said, appearing in the doorway. She'd come home early, surprising us both. Her eyes narrowed at my presence. "And who are you?" "Sophia works for me," Dante said smoothly. "Business consultant. In our home?" Her voice could have cut glass. "Since when do consultants need access to your private residence, Tesoro?" "Since I decided they did." His tone left no room for argument. "Alessandra, give us a moment." "No," she crossed her arms. "I want to know what's really going on. You've been distracted for weeks, canceling plans, taking mysterious meetings, and now this woman," she looked me up and down with contempt, "is in our home." The accountant had wisely fled minutes ago. Now it was just the 3 of us, tension crackling like electricity. "You're being paranoid," Dante said. "Am I? Or am I being smart?" Alessandra moved closer to me, her designer heels clicking on marble. "You're pretty. I'll give you that. But if you think sleeping with my fiancé will get you anywhere—" "I'm not," I started. "Don't lie to me." She grabbed my left hand. checking for rings. Her eyes caught on my stomach, the swell more visible now at 18 weeks. Oh, I see. How predictable. Dante's voice went deadly quiet. Alessandra, enough. Is it yours? She demanded. The baby? That's none of your concern. Everything about you is my concern. We're getting married in 6 weeks. My family has invested millions in this alliance, and you're what? Keeping some pregnant whore on the side? Dante moved so fast I didn't see it coming. One moment he was across the room. The next, his hand was wrapped around Alessandra's throat, slamming her back against the wall. Never, he said, voice like ice and murder. Call her that again. I stood frozen, horrified by the violence, by the way Alessandra's face turned red, by how easily Dante could kill her and probably had killed others. Dante, stop. My voice broke through whatever rage held him. He released Alessandra, who crumpled, gasping. He turned to me, and the fury in his eyes made me step back. Sophia, leave, now. Teresa will take you back to your apartment. But now, I ran. I didn't hear from him for 3 days. 3 days of silence, of wondering if I'd crossed some invisible line, if the protection he'd offered was being withdrawn. Teresa brought meals and updated security protocols, but offered no information about Dante. On the 4th day, he appeared at my door at midnight, disheveled and dangerous, smelling of whiskey and smoke. The wedding's off, he said without preamble. I broke the engagement tonight. The Moretti family is furious. There will be consequences. A war, probably. But I don't care. He walked past me into the apartment, pacing like a caged animal. Why? I asked, though I knew. God help me, I knew. He turned, and the look in his eyes stole my breath. Because I can't marry her while wanting you. Because every time I'm in a room with Alessandra, all I can think about is you. Because that baby you're carrying, it may not be mine by blood, but I want it to be. I want you both to be mine in every way that matters. He crossed to me, cupping my face with shaking hands. I'm obsessed with you, Sophia. It's irrational and dangerous and completely inappropriate, but there it is. You've destroyed my carefully planned life in less than 2 months, and I'm letting you. Because the alternative, a life where you're not mine, is unacceptable. Tears streamed down my face. This is insane. You barely know me. I know everything about you. I've known since the day we met. I know you take your coffee with too much sugar and read poetry when you can't sleep. I know you're terrified of failure and desperate to matter. I know you talk to your baby every night, promising to be better than your mother was to you. His thumbs brushed away my tears. I know you, Kara, and I'm ruined for anyone else. The baby isn't yours. I don't care. I'll love it anyway. Raise it as mine. Give it the Rossetti name and everything that comes with it. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my lips. Soft, reverent touches so different from our first kiss. Say yes, Sophia. Be mine, truly mine. Not as an employee or an asset, as my family. Every rational thought screamed at me to refuse. This man was a criminal, had killed people, had trapped me in this life through manipulation and circumstances, but he'd also saved me, protected me, seen me when I was invisible to everyone else. And despite everything, maybe because of everything, I loved him. The realization hit like lightning. I loved this dangerous, obsessed, impossible man who'd stolen my life and given me a new one. Yes, I whispered. His kiss this time was different, claiming but also cherishing, possessive but tender. He lifted me into his arms and carried me to the bedroom, and for the first time since my world shattered, I felt whole. The war with the Moretti family started 3 days after Dante broke his engagement. It began with threats, phone calls, formal letters demanding compensation for the broken alliance. Then it escalated. A shipment of Dante's goods burned in a warehouse fire. 2 of his restaurants were vandalized. The message was clear. Insulting the Morettis had consequences. But Dante was unmoved. If anything, the conflict seemed to energize him. He moved me into his actual penthouse, Alessandra's things removed, every trace of her erased, and surrounded me with armed guards 24 hours a day. They won't touch you, he promised, his hand resting on my growing stomach as we stood at the windows overlooking the city. I've made it clear that anyone who harms you answers to me personally, and everyone knows what that means. I did too now. I'd learned what Dante was capable of when protecting what he considered his. The bodies didn't pile up visibly, but men who crossed him had a way of disappearing. I should have been horrified. Instead, I felt safe in a way I never had before. Dr. Chen confirmed at my 20-week ultrasound that I was having a girl. I cried watching her tiny form on the screen, her perfect fingers and toes, her strong heartbeat. "A daughter," Dante said quietly beside me, his hand gripping mine. "We're having a daughter, not you. We." As if she'd been his all along. "What do you want to name her?" I asked that night, curled against him in bed. "Something strong. Something that means she'll never be underestimated." He traced patterns on my bare shoulder. "Isabella, after my mother. She was the strongest person I ever knew. Isabella Rossetti." I tested the name. "It's beautiful. She'll be beautiful, like her mother." He kissed my temple. "And she'll be safe, protected. She'll never know what it means to be hungry or afraid or invisible." "You can't promise that. Watch me." His arms tightened around me. "I've built an empire to protect the people I love. My mother before she died, my sister, though we barely speak now. And now you. You and Isabella. Nothing will touch you. I swear it." The vow should have sounded like a threat. Coming from him, it sounded like salvation. 4 weeks later, the Moretti situation came to a head. Alessandro Moretti, Alessandra's father, demanded a sit-down meeting, neutral territory. No weapons. Just talk. Dante was suspicious. "Moretti doesn't do peaceful negotiations. This is a trap." "Then don't go," I pleaded. We were 24 weeks along now, my stomach round and impossible to hide. "Send someone else." "I can't. Refusing makes me look weak. Weakness invites more attacks." He cupped my face, kissing me deeply. "I'll be careful. Extra security. Exit strategies. I've survived worse. I have a bad feeling. Sophia." He rested his forehead against mine. "I promise. I will come back to you. Nothing keeps me from you and our daughter." Our daughter. He said it so naturally now, as if biology was irrelevant. He left with his top lieutenants, leaving me under Teresa's protection and a dozen armed guards. The penthouse felt like a tomb without him. Hours passed. I tried to read, to rest, but anxiety crawled under my skin. Isabella kicked. She was active now, responding to my stress with movement. I rubbed my stomach, humming softly to calm us both. "It's okay, Piccola. Your father will come home. He always does." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello? Sophia Rossetti?" A woman's voice accented. Russian. My blood ran cold. "You don't know me, but I know you. Dante's pregnant pet. How sweet. Who is this?" "Someone who wants you to understand something. Your lover killed my brother, gave him to us like a gift, thinking it would clear your debts. Marcus Chen. Remember him?" The name hit like a physical blow. I'd tried so hard not to think about Marcus, about what Dante had done. I didn't ask him to. No? You benefited, though. Lived in luxury while my brother died screaming. Dante thought the matter was closed, but the covenant doesn't forget. Her voice turned cold. "We have him now. At the meeting. Moretti sold him out. Payment for the insult to his daughter. Poetic, isn't it?" Terror flooded through me. "You're lying." "Am I? Check the news in about 20 minutes. You'll see." The line went dead. I screamed for Teresa. "The meeting! It's a trap! The covenant has him!" She was already on her phone, barking orders. "All units to the warehouse. Now. Full assault team. I don't care about the police. Move." "I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not. You're pregnant and a target. You stay here where it's safe. He's the father of my child. I'm not staying behind." Teresa's eyes softened slightly. "If something happens to you, he'll level this entire city. Please. Let us handle this." But I couldn't. Wouldn't. I grabbed my coat and ran for the elevator before she could stop me. The warehouse district was industrial decay. Rusted metal, broken windows, the smell of oil and neglect. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Gunfire cracked through the air like fireworks. I crouched behind a car while Dante's men swarmed the building where the meeting had been held. Bodies littered the ground, Moretti soldiers, Covenant enforcers, people I didn't recognize. Blood pooled on concrete. "There!" someone shouted. "The boss is inside!" They breached the door with controlled explosives. More gunfire, screaming, then silence. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think past the terror that I'd arrived too late, that Isabella would grow up without a father, that I'd lose the man I loved before I'd really had him. Then he emerged. Dante walked out of that building like an avenging angel, suit torn, blood on his face and hands, but alive. Gloriously, impossibly alive. His eyes scanned the chaos until they found me. "Sophia." My name was a roar. "What the fuck are you doing here?" I ran to him, stumbling in my haste, and he caught me against his chest. His hands roamed over me frantically, checking for injuries. "Are you hurt? Did anyone touch you? The baby—" "We're fine. You're the one covered in blood, not mine." He kissed me hard, tasting of copper and desperation. "Mostly not mine. Christ, Sophia, you could have been killed. You were supposed to stay safe." "I couldn't. I thought—" My voice broke. "The Russian woman called. Said they had you. I thought I'd lost you." His expression turned murderous. "What Russian woman?" "She said you killed her brother, Marcus's sister. She wanted revenge. Katya Chen." He spat the name like a curse. "She was here, coordinating with Moretti, but she ran when my men arrived." His jaw tightened. "This isn't over. She'll come for you again." "Then what do we do?" He looked at me, really looked at me, taking in my swollen stomach, my terrified face, the way I trembled in his arms. Something shifted in his expression. "We end this, permanently. No more half measures, no more allowing threats to exist." He pulled out his phone. "I'm calling in every favor, every alliance. The Covenant violated our truce. They targeted what's mine. That means war." The war lasted 6 brutal weeks. I was kept locked in the penthouse. Security doubled and tripled, while Dante systematically dismantled the Covenant's operations in New York. Shipments seized, money frozen, key players arrested or disappeared. Alessandro Moretti was found dead in his office, officially a heart attack, though everyone knew better. Alessandra fled to Italy with what remained of her family's fortune. And Katya Chen, Marcus's sister, was delivered to Dante bound and terrified. He brought me to the warehouse where she was held. I was 8 months pregnant by then, waddling rather than walking, but he insisted I see this. "You need to understand," he said as we approached. "This is what happens to people who threaten my family." Katya looked up from where she knelt, bloodied and broken. When she saw me, she laughed, a cracked, desperate sound. "The pregnant whore. He'll never be yours, you know. Men like Dante don't love. They own. You're just another possession." Dante's gun pressed against her temple, silencing her. "Last words?" he asked conversationally. She spat blood at my feet. "Your baby will be born into blood. That's Dante's legacy. Death and—" The gunshot cut her off. She crumpled, dead before she hit the ground. I should have felt sick, should have turned away in horror. Instead, I felt relief. The threat was gone. My daughter was safe. Dante holstered his weapon and turned to me, checking my reaction carefully. "Are you okay? Is it really over?" "Yes. The Covenant's leadership is destroyed. Moretti's family is scattered. There's no one left who wants revenge badly enough to come after you." He guided me out of the warehouse, away from the body. "You and Isabella are safe. That's all that matters." Isabella Rossetti was born on a snowy December night, 6 pounds and perfect. She had my eyes and Dante's dark hair. And when he held her for the first time, I watched the most dangerous man in New York cry. "Hello, Piccola," he whispered. His finger caught in her tiny fist. "I'm your father, and I promise you'll never know fear or hunger or invisibility. You'll be loved, protected. You'll be a queen in this city." I watched them from my hospital bed, my daughter and the man who'd claimed us both, and felt something settle in my chest. Peace, maybe. Or acceptance. This wasn't the life I'd imagined. It was darker, more dangerous, built on violence and control. But it was mine. We were his, and he was ours, and that was enough. 2 years later, I stood in our penthouse, truly ours now, filled with Isabella's toys and family photos, watching Dante teach our daughter to walk. She toddled between furniture, laughing when he caught her, her face bright with trust. "Mama," she called, reaching for me. "Mama, look." I scooped her up, kissing her dark curls. She smelled like baby shampoo and the lavender oil we used at bath time. Perfect. Untouched by the darkness that lurked at the edges of our world, Dante came up behind us, his arms encircling both of us. "My girls," he murmured. "My entire world. Do you ever regret it?" I asked quietly. "Breaking your engagement? Starting a war? All of it?" "Never." He turned me to face him, Isabella between us. "You gave me something I'd stopped believing existed. A real family. Not a business arrangement or alliance. Something genuine. We're hardly a normal family. Who wants normal?" His smile was warm, lacking the edge of danger it had held when we first met. "We're perfect. Complicated and messy, and built on questionable decisions, but perfect." Isabella grabbed both our faces, babbling happily. Dante laughed, a real laugh, unguarded, and kissed her forehead, then mine. Outside, the city glittered. Somewhere in its depths, Dante's empire ran on violence and secrets. But here, in this moment, we were just a family. I thought about the terrified, invisible girl I'd been 2 years ago. She felt like a stranger now, that Sophia had died the day Dante Rossetti walked into her life and offered salvation disguised as servitude. This Sophia, the one who'd learned to be seen, to be strong, to survive in a world of shadows, she was who I'd needed to become. "I love you," I told Dante. The words still felt new, dangerous to speak aloud. His eyes softened. "I know. You show me every day." He kissed me deeply, carefully, mindful of the toddler in my arms. "I love you too, Kara, more than I thought I could love anything." "Yov," Isabella mimicked, clapping her hands. We laughed together, the three of us, in our golden cage that had somehow become home. The rain hammered against the windows. The same rain that had fallen the day I'd served Dante his first drink at Romano's. But I wasn't that girl anymore, wasn't scared or alone or drowning. I was Sophia Rossetti, mother, partner to one of the most dangerous men in New York, and somehow, impossibly, happy. The little boy who'd paid $5 for help had inadvertently changed everything. Luca, now thriving in school, his mother healthy and working in one of Dante's legitimate businesses, had reminded Dante what his power was for. Not just control or wealth, but protection, family. And in protecting that child, Dante had found me, found us. "Come on," Dante said, scooping Isabella into his arms. "Time for dinner. Teresa made your favorite." We moved through our home, our fortress, our sanctuary together. A family forged in darkness but sustained by something that felt remarkably like light. Outside, the city continued its eternal rhythm. People lived and died, fought and loved, invisible or seen. But in here, we were safe. We were whole. We were home. And that, despite everything, because of everything, was enough.